my name's Scott. I work at the OU as a first-year PhD student. I work on anti-cancer treatment using photodynamic therapy. So my PhD project works on creating photosensitizers, which are molecules that absorb light and they interact with oxygen to make it a very reactive form. Using that, you can use lasers to target tumours, and it causes destruction of tumour cells. So it's an anti-cancer treatment, and we're making new photosensitizers to help that. I decided to do a PhD because I've always loved science, I've always loved being in the lab. I've also wanted to do science that would have real-world applications, so something like anti-cancer therapy. I really enjoy the idea of doing something that might actually create a change, and a PhD is the best way I found to be able to do that. I think the coolest part of my research would be actually being able to be in the lab and actually make new things. And some of the molecules that I make have never been made anywhere else in the world. And I think it's really cool that I actually get to be able to be the first person to make a specific thing. I think that's really cool. I like that. My research has a way that it would be able to actually impact people's lives, and it would impact the future of science. Since I'm making molecules that will be involved in cancer treatment, obviously there will be a direct effect if it could be converted into an actual pharmaceutical drug. Then there's quite an obvious way that it would sort of help people's lives. And photosensitizers are quite an emerging field in science. Like, there's a lot that can really be done with it, so it would be a stepping stone onto future advancements that other people would be able to carry on. So the reason I chose to do this kind of chemistry is I work on macrocycles for big ring structures, and it's an opportunity to do something I've never done before. I've never worked with macrocycles, I've never worked with nanoparticles, but I like the idea of doing research in a new field, and I'd learn new skills, I'd learn a new way of doing things, and that's the thing, is you can always have more skills, you can always learn new scientific techniques. So I think doing a PhD in this kind of chemical field that I've never really worked in, it's good fun to learn new things and try new things. I like doing research at the Open University because whereas the Open University isn't a traditional university because there's a lot of distance learning, it does mean that you have access to whatever equipment you want to use. In some places you might have to queue, but at the OU, whenever I want to use a machine, I can use it pretty much straight away. So the best thing is the facilities are really good, and you can do lots of research really quickly without a lot of the stumbling blocks that you'd find in traditional universities. So I think that's a really big advantage for me and my work. If you were deciding on doing a PhD, have a rough idea of the general area. So like, I like doing organic chemistry that leads into biological applications. I'd say start off early on, decide the area that you want to go into, and focus going down that path. If I had any advice for current undergrad students, I'd say that research is not always going to be plain sailing. While it's enjoyable, it's great, you will get a lot of good results, but even if you don't get the results you want, a bad result is still a result. And the best thing is to, I would say, remember that and keep going forward. It will never close off avenues. You will always just find a new way of doing something. I think that's the biggest piece of advice, is remembering that everything is a stepping stone to the next step, even if it's not the stepping stone you thought it'd be.